Logic versus psychology. That's what I'm battling with as I'm trying to come to my official pick. Now, of course, I just dropped my prediction video and I said I had Volk. Now, there's a whole nother element to this fight that we have to acknowledge, but before we acknowledge anything psychological and mental, we have to acknowledge the fight itself and the fighters itself. Listen, Diego Lopez and Volkanovski are two different fighters for many reasons. They're different statuses in their career. The narrative is kind of like Volk's the older bloke. You know, he has the old man. Who hope he does not bring back the old man Volk thing. That's probably going to give me PTSD or something like that. But that is the narrative, for being real. And then Lopez, the young and coming up and comer, and you know, theoretically, people would think that, oh, maybe it's just time for Volk to get packed up. And it's not a horrible, I don't think there's a bad prediction for this main event. You know, like you guys usually see me when I'm like, oh, this guy's going to go and he's going to do this. You know, you guys usually see that with me when I'm really confident. But I do believe Volk has a better chance of winning, but there is elements and there is things in his fight style and psychologically that I think are going to be something important to acknowledge. So in this video, we're doing the iconic Kenny stylistic breakdown. Now, another thing about me, when I do stylistic breakdowns, it helps me as well as you guys understand the fight better, because sometimes when I sit down and I break them down from striking to grappling to everything, I start to realize, oh wait, this is possible. So without further ado, bro, I'm stalling. Let's get into the stylistic breakdown of Volk versus Lopez. First and foremost, we're going to start off with striking, and we're going to look at Volkanovski's pros. Well, I'm going to say this. Great kicks, and he will lose. I know he'll lose them a lot in this fight. He will lose. He will use his kicks more than anything in this fight. And now he did this in the Ilya fight, and it ended up being problematic because even in the first round, while he was kicking Ilya, he was kicking him a lot, by the way. Ilya started finding the timing with the overhand, but overall, the kicks were good. And the reason the kicks were so good is because he was kicking and then he was moving. And that's why I put the second spot, stick and move max. He's going to stick and move. Whether it's that jab, then move. He likes to jab and move a lot, and there's a problem I'm going to talk about in the cons for striking, but his jab and move's really good. He jabs and moves well. He doesn't move backwards necessarily when he's stick and moving. He's always moving laterally. It's counterclockwise and he switches to clockwise. You know, he moves very well, and I feel like that's one of his best weapons, and it's something he's going to use a lot against Lopez. There's no doubt in my mind he's going to be throwing a lot of kicks, a lot of low kicks, body kicks, jabs, and he's going to be rotating every single time, and it's going to probably frustrate Lopez and make Lopez take more risk. And we're going to talk about it a little bit more when we talk about Lopez, but he's great kicks and great stick and move maxer, bro. On top of that, great flow state. When he gets into a flow state, and this is when he starts feeling momentum, that's when you start to see him open up with combos. He's not going to initially start off this fight and open up with like a 4-punch combo against Lopez unless he wants to get knocked out. If he was, go for it. Just start doing something you don't usually do because you're nervous. Get in there and just start winging punches. Watch what Lopez, he's going to leave him on the floor. Like if he does that against Lopez, he's going to have to wake him up. But like Volk is too smart to even do that, and I know he's not going to do that. He's not going to open up with combos. He's going to open up with like his 1-2 strike kind of things, like the jab and the move and the low kick and the move and the body kick and the head kick. He's going to throw a lot of kicks in the first round for sure. And he's going to move. And then there's going to be a portion of the fight, I believe around the second half of the second round, like when there's 2:30 left in the second. And he's going to start to land on Lopez, see that Lopez is not liking this jab that's landing on him, and he's going to start talking to him, man. When Volk starts talking, baby. Yeah, bro, get him. When Volk starts talking, you know he's in that flow state. And once he starts talking, that's when he would do a jab, slip, boom, 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 and he'll start to add up his combos. So he gets into a great flow state, and when he does that, that's when his combos open up. You'll never see Volk immediately start off a fight opening with combos because that's just not how he operates. He is kind of a vibes fighter, like when he feels a rhythm, he just keeps the rhythm going and going, and that's when he starts to build. You know what I'm saying? Momentum fighter is the best way to describe someone like that. So yeah, he's not going to come out with combos. In contrast with Lopez, who is going to always come out with combos, and it's not a momentum fighter because he doesn't have a time. He's on a time limit. Lopez is on a time limit. Volk is not. Volk can go for 25 minutes. Volk can go for 50 minutes. Volk has one of the best gas tanks in the UFC. Like he's almost Marab level-esque as far as gas tanks concerned. Like he could go for a long time, which is why he doesn't need to build quickly. He could take his time in building, and that's what he's going to do against Lopez. Now, I talked about the pros, so now we're going to have to look at the cons and stump the elephant in the room. Let's get the elephant out the bag. Yeah, man, let's get the elephant out the bag. Chin up, lean back is his go-to defensive mood. Bro said mood. His go-to defensive mode. He does it in every fight. I used to think it was only Ilya, and then I started watching more film. I was like, no, he was doing it against Max. Even the best performance he had against Max, like the third fight, he was still doing it. He always does it. It's just his go-to, and you're not. Let me tell you right now, that's not going to change in this fight. If you guys think for whatever reason that Volk's going to change that, he's not. It's like he's been doing his whole career. like I know you're probably. I bet he drills to change it. But the truth of the matter is when Volk gets back out there in his fight mode, he just does it. I don't think he realizes he's doing it, but it's just how he operates. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad defensive move. Depending who you fight, I guess I got to say. It's not a bad defensive move depending on who you fight, because when he is leaning back, he's not leaning back with his chin, his chin is in the air. But he always has a hand right here. So he jabs you and he leans back, chin in the air. It's open to like a overhand for over here, but like his other hand's usually protecting himself, and he kind of relies on the lateral movement as well. So it's not a horrible defensive move, but against someone like Lopez, that might cause some problems, and he's not going to change it. So I want you guys to, like, if you're picking Volk and you think he's going to change that habit, switch to Lopez. Like, off your logic, I'm just saying, if you're only picking Volk because you're like, well, I don't think he's going to do what he did against Ilya. He does that in every fight. Look, you can't find one fight where Volk didn't do that. This is how he fights. You know, that's his go-to defensive mode. So if that's the reason you wanted to pick Volk because you thought he's going to switch that up, go to Lopez. I'm just giving you some advice. Now, another thing I said, he overthrows kicks when nervous. Now, when I say overthrows, I don't say he throws like it misses. I'm saying he throws too much kicks. There's a point in the first round I kept seeing him throw the kicks, and it was good kicks, but eventually Ilya started to find timing. Now, I do think Ilya's a more clever boxer and more impressive boxer than Diego Lopez, but no matter who you are, if you keep throwing the same kind of moves over and over again, it's gonna get predictable, and that's when people can start to counter you. So sometimes if I feel like he's gonna throw a lot of kicks, but as long as he's mixing it up and not throwing the same kicks, if he's throwing a bunch of low kicks, Lopez will eventually find the adjustment and land a shot on him. It's just common sense. It's just no matter who you are, you don't really need to be a rocket scientist to find a counter to a repetitive shot if you're on the highest level. You know what I'm saying? Of course, in the amateurs you can get away with that, but I'm just saying in the UFC, don't expect that. So he did overthrow kicks against Ilya. It didn't end up getting him knocked out. What got him knocked out is when he decided to stay in the pocket for that split second and Ilya landed on him. But when he was overthrowing kicks in the first round, he was eating some bad shots from Ilia Topuria. So he does need to switch that up a little bit and just change the diversity in his kicks and mix in his jab a lot more with Lopez. Now, we talked about Volk's pros and cons in the striking. Now, let's look at Lopez. Lopez striking pros, heavy-handed and quick. He's a heavy-handed striker. A lot of people don't realize that heavy hands is one thing, then quickness is another thing. When you're both, like, Lopez is a quicker striker than Ilia Topuria. Lopez is a quicker striker than Ilia Topuria, and they're both heavy-handed. I would argue that Ilia has more one-punch heavy-handed power, but Lopez still has power to put you out, and he's a lot quicker. So it's dangerous for Volk. And one thing I noticed, he's really good at catching and shooting. Like, if you try to go in first against Diego Lopez, he's good at catching your strike on his guard, and then boom, 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 boom. And he's not. And the thing about Lopez, I don't know why I'm laughing. It's just funny because watching this film is kind of funny to me. Like, he's not gonna catch it. Like some people who catch and shoot, and then they're out. Just catch and just throw one punch and they're out. Diego will literally catch your punch on his high guard, and he'll throw 4 or 5 hooks and uppercuts. Like, he's just boom, 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 boom. He doesn't know what a straight punch is. All he knows is uppercuts and hooks. And those are like game ender strikes is the thing. You know what I'm saying? It's not just like when people throw straights like jabs, they're trying to touch you, trying to land a stick and move. This guy doesn't know stick and move. All he knows is go, go, go. So he's going to try to use that heavy-handed and quickness to his advantage. And I said throws punches and bunches. And that's really dangerous. Like, I feel like Volk has to be very aware of that. And I'm sure he is. And another thing I want to give him credit for is his aggression. First of all, if he has you hurt, you're probably not, like, you could survive. There's a lot of people who survive like getting hurt from him. But like, it's just not a good place to be. And I'll be real, if Volk gets hurt, I don't know if he's gonna survive. I don't really think he's gonna survive, because I know Lopez is gonna be all over him, man. Like, bro, it's gonna be a real bad thing if he gets rocked early. I'm telling you right now. And his aggression, like, he's always on the front foot, bringing the pace to a limit. Now, I said he's aggressive. The aggression is like a pro and a con, and I'm gonna tell you why it could be a con too. He slows down after 7 minutes. 7 minutes is like the time in my head after watching some film. I decided to say, I'm going to say 7 minutes, because there's been some fights he's looked okay after 7 minutes, but he wasn't using that much output. There's some fights where, like, you could see him slowing down even before the 7 minute mark. So I think 7 minutes is a good time. So about halfway through the second, he slows down considerably. So to a point where he's going to be on the front foot primarily. Like, I'm saying front foot. This means, like, he's not really going to give you time to breathe. He's going to wait for you to throw. He's going to catch, and he's going to shoot a lot, and he's going to be aggressive against you for about 7 minutes. When he gets tired, he just gives up ring generalship. So all that generalship he had walking you down and imposing his dominance, after that 7 minute mark, he doesn't have it. He starts to back up himself, and that's when Dan Ige started putting it on him bad in the third round. I know Dan Ige ain't no Volkanovski. he's a little bit better. Yeah, come on, dude. He's nowhere near Volkanovski. So if Dan Ige is putting on you like that in the third, imagine what Volk's gonna do to you in the second half of the second, then third, and fourth, and fifth. Like, this is not a 3-round fight, Diego Lopez. You know what I'm saying? So people are gonna be like, oh, he's gonna change his fight style. I hate when people say that. He's not. He's gonna fight the same. Like, he's not gonna switch up anything. That's all he knows. It's like the same thing people are saying about Hamza. Like, Hamza's gonna change up his fight style and 5-round fight. He fought Whitaker the same exact way he fought Usman. Like, they're not going to do that. This is what they know. And he is going to have the delusion of trusting his cardio, but he's going to realize that, like, just the way he fights is just not good. The amount of output he puts out in the first round, trying to get that finish with his quick hands and his speed, ends up fatiguing him quickly. So after he gets tired and gives it the ring generalships and backing up, he fights in weakened spurts. So when I say weakened spurts, it's like he still tries to do what he does in the first round, which is like but it looks more like he can't really get the torque in his punches anymore. He still tries to spurt max, like he still tries to explode, but it just the power is just looks so distinctly, disgustingly different. Like, it just doesn't have that same that same scary essence he had in the first. It's just not there anymore. And that's why I fear that Volkanovski could start to feel that flow state that I was talking about. Now, I want to compare the striking on this slide. I said Volk will be in the danger zone for 5 to 7 minutes. I said 5 to 7 because there is a world where like Volk can damn near win every round. I'll be real. If he just plays his cards right in the first rounds. But I said Volk's evading tendencies could put him in trouble. So that little evading tendency I'm talking about, going backwards like that, Lopez is probably going to try to make a read on that and initiate forward pressure and a blitz that's going to try to land. And what Volk has to acknowledge is that when Lopez blitzes, it's not going to just be like an overhand, then he's out. It's going to be an overhand, a switch hook, an overhand, switch it, and he's going to do it for 4 or 5 punches. And what Volk shouldn't do, which I think he did in the Topuria fight, where he was looking good before the finish. He was getting pressured by Topuria, boom, 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 boom. And then we saw Topuria throw a big swing and miss. And after that, Volk was like, he's backed up. He just hit the fence. He was like, okay, I can throw now. Tries to throw, and that's when Ilya lands on him. So the second Volk decided to sit in the pocket and throw with Ilya, he got landed on. I think he learned from that. I don't think he's going to want to sit in the pocket now while moving backwards. It's just dangerous when you're moving backwards and then you the cage is behind you, and then you're like, oh, I have to throw. Because now he feels like he has to throw. Instead of just high guarding and getting out, he feels like he has to throw, and he threw and he missed, and then Ilya knocked him out. So he got to be careful with that evading tendency of and he's got to prioritize circular movement in his kicks. And I did say that kicks will slow down Lopez pressure because, like I said, Lopez likes to be on the front foot, and I feel like his legs are always there to be kicked. And because those boxing fighters, that's all they are. So I feel like Volk kicking his leg early is gonna help take away a lot of that pressure and that power. When you kick someone's front leg away, that power in their back arm and their back hand, it goes away as well. So I said after the third and beyond, though, Lopez is done for. So if he doesn't get it done in 5 to 7 minutes, it's kind of over. So if you're picking Lopez, you're probably expecting him to knock out Volk in the first round. And if not, if you really think Volkanovski was like an all-time great, he's going to get knocked out in the first 5 minutes, even quicker than Ilya did, we'll see. And I'll be real, Ilya has less of a likely chance of knocking out a Volk in the first round than Lopez. Lopez is a lot more aggressive than Ilya in that sense. So that's not even a horrible prediction. It's just that you're banking on Volk not to use good movement and good kicks, and I just don't see that happening. So yeah, this is a striking comparison. Now let's get into the grappling. The grappling pros for Volkanovski: he's a decent offensive wrestler. He has great takedown defense, strong in the clinch, and he's unchokeable. The unchokeable part's scaring me because I feel like I'm jinxing something. So let me knock on wood. But he's kind of good everywhere. He doesn't really need. People said he needs to wrestle. He doesn't really need to wrestle on paper, but I do think he should initiate the clinch sometimes. I feel like initiating the clinch because I know he's gonna be stronger. Just via his frame and his size, and I've seen him go up and weight against people like Islam, he's going to be stronger in the clinch than Diego Lopez for sure. So he's going to be able to hold him there and use some strikes there, which is going to deplete Diego Lopez endurance and his gas tank. Is going to make him not want to be there. I know for sure that's going to happen. Now, those are his pros. For cons, none, because I haven't really seen anything. I've seen him go against the best grappler in arguably UFC today, in Islam Makhachev, in a weight class above. Held his own pretty well. He did get controlled that one round by Islam Makhachev, but that's Islam Makhachev. He had moments against Islam when he looked not better in the grappling, but he just looked like Islam couldn't handle him and take him down. So I'm not really worried about, and there's no notable flaw for Volkanovski in grappling thus far. Now, for Lopez, his grappling pros he has a quick guillotine attempt. Bro, how quick that attempt was off Dan Ige's shot was disgusting. That almost finished Ige. He almost had that in. Ige did a good job rolling, but dude, that scared me. Like, that was really quick. That you can't teach that. That was like very impressive, BJJ. The quickness of he got that guillotine choke in that fast. I was like, whoa, this guy's nasty. And that's it. He's always threatening subs. If you have him on his back, he'll always throw up something. So you're never really safe with him. Volk is good at top pressure if he gets you in full guard, but Lopez will definitely be threatening with a lot of stuff. That being said, he has some cons where he's also complacent on his back. So even though he's on his back throwing up submissions, the negative about that is sometimes you trust your BJJ too much, so now you're just spending time on the ground riding out control time and giving the other person an easy win. That's kind of what it is when people like this do that. Lopez has been a victim to that in the Mavsar fight and some of these other fights, so it could be something that shows up again if Volk wants to wrestle. Now, I want to compare the grappling side by side. I said Volk will likely clinch. I don't know about takedowns. I don't know how much takedowns he's going to shoot to complete a takedown. Like, some people think Magomed did horrible against Pereira in the wrestling. Some of those shots were to push Pereira against the fence, and then once he done that, it was so he could like outwork him in the fence and just grind on him there. I think Volk might shoot some takedowns just to initiate clinches in the fence, push him in the fence and just work him there, like step on him, knee, shoulder shrug, just outwork him and drain some energy from there. I said Volk must watch his neck if he shoots for double legs, because like I said, the quickness of Diego Lopez to be able to get that guillotine attempt on Dan Ige was very impressive. So Volk is not the type to shoot double legs, but if he panics and shoots like a poor double leg, he will get choked. Like, he will. I know he's unchokeable. I said that. That's why I knocked on wood, because I could definitely see a world where Lopez can't choke him off a failed or a poor attempted, takedown attempt. And then I said Volk will have the advantage overall here, because I just feel like in the grappling realm, I feel like Volk has better pros and less cons than someone like Lopez, who can be suspect of just laying there and kind of giving up rounds. So I do think the grappling comparison, I am going to favor Volkanovski. Now, you guys are probably like, okay, Kenny, sounds like you favor him in the striking, the grappling. So what really is there to be worried about Volk? There's something big. Volk's coming off 2 back-to-back KOs. He knows he's not getting any younger. Volk will fight nervous and a little different. I want to make this transparent right now, and I'm going to acknowledge it. He will fight nervous and he'll fight different. Now, the problem when fighters fighting different, they tend to put themselves in like bad spots more than likely because they're trying to be more safe. Now, a good example of this was Kamaru Usman. I remember he was destroying Leon, and then I picked him in the next fight because I was like, he's just going to destroy him again, And then people were like, oh, but Kenny, what about he just got knocked out? I'm like, who cares? Like, he's going to bring the pressure. So Usman fought different there. In his head, he probably thought he was fighting smart, but he fought different in the sense that he was like, okay, I got knocked out. I'm going to be a little bit more cautious when engaging against Leon Edwards, when the whole game plan should be just go in there and just maul him, and you can't be thinking about being hesitant or scared. But Usman staying at distance and trying to be more measured resulted in more of like a kickboxing match, which favored Leon Edwards. So I feel like sometimes fighters, after getting knocked out, they want to do something safer, but they end up doing something kind of dumb. And I feel like Volkanovski, after getting knocked out back-to-back twice, first of all, after the Islam knockout against Ilya, he just looked like very scared to even throw a single boxing strike. Like, it was mostly just kicks, and he was fighting different, all because like he just got knocked out by Islam, and he was very wary about that, And then on top of that, he just got knocked out by Ilya again. So in my head, he's going to be like, okay, he's probably going to be very nervous of the boxing in general. I'm assuming that. This is my assumption. I feel like he's going to be a kick-heavy approach again. He's going to change up some stuff, but I do understand that psychologically, he understands, even if he could try to like convince himself like, yeah, I'm ready for this, I'm not nervous at all. But I know he's going to be nervous. I know he's going to be fighting a little bit different. And people might think this is insignificant, but trust me, fighters coming off knockouts, especially back-to-back knockouts, it's going to make them just be more wary naturally because they're human beings. Like, we can't act like they're not human beings, they're robotic, and they're just going to go in there, he's going to fight like he's in his prime and nothing ever happened to him. That's not the case. So this is a big thing. So when I see people picking Diego Lopez, like, I feel like if they're not acknowledging this, then they're picking him because they have no IQ. But if they're acknowledging stuff like this, and as well as like the speed and the hand power of Diego Lopez, I can see why they're picking him. That being said, where do I pick after seeing the stylistic breakdown, the psychological aspect? I still think the winner is Volkanovski, and I still think he's going to win by TKO or points because Volk just is seemingly just a better fighter. It's kind of evident that he's a better fighter. He's better in the striking. He's better in the grappling. He's better almost everywhere than Diego Lopez. I think he likely outstrikes him using his excessive movement. I think he moves really quickly, and I feel like he just outstrikes him. He just puts the beats on him like Dr. Dre. That's really what I see. I'm trying to be transparent, and I just said Lopez can't keep up with Volk in a 25-minute fight. He might keep up for the first 5 minutes, the first 7 minutes. It might look competitive, but there's going to be a portion portion of the fight we're going to see a significant turning point, and it's that portion of the fight where Diego Lopez starts to slow down, starts to hold his neck like this, starts to get tired, goes to that tick of itching his neck and just trying to act like he's still in the fight, but he's not. And that's when Volk starts to put the beats on him. And I think the reason I'm saying TKO or points, because in that 4th or 5th round, like, you're going to see Lopez in a situation he's never been before, and you're going to see how that gas tank really looks when he's going against someone with great cardio who could put it on him way later. And like I said, when Volk grows in confidence, and that's when those combos start to grow and all these starts to hit, that's when Lopez starts to fade, and that's when Volk starts to come alive. So that's why I'm going Volkanovski by TKO or points. But let me know what you guys think, bro. Because listen, this is my stylistic breakdown. I broke it down stylistically. I even acknowledged the psychological part. But even when I acknowledge all those stuff, I just see Lopez as a decent fighter at best. He's not all that great. Yes, he beat Dan Ige on 22-minute notice. He beat Dan Ige on 2 seconds notice. He beat Dan Ige like 40 seconds. He beat Dan Ige, bro. You know, and he beat Brian Ortega, who's just very mediocre striker. He's not going to beat Volkanovski. This is my opinion, and this is my official pick. Let me know what you think down below. That's it for me, and God bless. 2, 3.